estate. We got Fred Glick, the man, the myth. Fred, how's it going?
I was called a legend last week. I have a respected buyer. I think it's hysterical.
Man,
a
a legend
legend.
by a respected buyer, no less.
A prospective buyer.
Prospect.
Right. He'd been talking just to René, and then I came in the chat room in the Slack channel, and he said, "Oh my God, it's you. You're a legend."
And, and I'm hoping he meant like real estate wise versus just like you. Like there's a football player that's also named Fred Glick.
Yeah, Freddie Glick, actually, they called him. He played for Denver. It's in the Hall of Fame. Yep. But
Who knows?
he's been dead for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. So he's not competing with me on Twitter.
But he still competes on Google. And we also have René today. René's on the road selling houses. How's it going, René?
Trying to, yeah. So we're getting ready to list the house in San Jose near Santana Row. So we're just looking at the final touches, making sure that there's no missing paint, that all the doorknobs work, that all the light bulbs are matching. So yeah, it's a fun day today. Staging the house.
Fun. I have not gone to Santana Row in a few years. How's that place shaping up? How did it emerge from the pandemic?
Oh, I hate it just because I hate overpriced areas that just want to charge and upcharge just because nice location.
Yeah, bougie world.
Yeah, but there's a lot of outdoor dining, and that's for a hot day like today. We're at 84 degrees, 85. It's a nice place to go out and eat outside and have fun. There's a lot of live music. It's nice and driving.
Yeah, when I used to live in Santa Clara, I'd make my big destination was Pizza Antica to get their warm Brussels sprout salad.
Oh, I didn't know you lived up there.
Now they have the recipe online, and I make it all the time. That's the tip, everyone. Warm Brussels sprout salad. But we're not here to talk about Brussels sprouts as much as I'd like to. We're here to talk about real estate and how Arrivva's fixed real estate. Let's talk about title insurance. That sounds fun.
So depending on what county you're in California, you might pay for title insurance, which is the owner's title insurance, or the seller pays for it. Or if you're in another state, every state's a little different. Pennsylvania, the buyer pays it. Washington, the seller pays it. So anyway, but it's a cost. And what is it? It's insurance that the people who are selling the house are really the sellers and are authorized to do so, and recorded, meaning recorded at the county or the city, wherever it's recorded. It's at a level that they've gone through and checked everything that's recorded, and you either accept it because like a easement or something like that, but make sure that there's not 15 mortgages on the property, and it's all electronic, and it's really easy to do. And they get, the sellers give them their passports and driver's license and certified. And so the thing is, there's like this many claims.
And I was going to ask about that. Like, how often is it actually?
Tiny bit. And also think about this. Let me go back to something. If you're getting a mortgage, you have the owner's title insurance, but then you have to pay for title insurance for the lender up to the loan amount, because they have to be insured. And sometimes it's a package deal. It depends on the state. But let's say you go to refinance, and guess what? You're paying title insurance again. Maybe it's discounted, but it's like, hey, lender X, you already had title insurance. Why am I getting it again? Well, from the time you bought the place to the time you refinance, you might have put 27 mortgages on it. The lender has no idea, what you did. So there's this pilot program sort of that they're allowing attorneys who specialize in this type of work to just do a search and then like certify the search, as opposed to getting title insurance all over again. And it's dropping the cost dramatically. But Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, what are they doing? They're fighting it because they want the title insurance and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure the title industry is all over them. for trying to get away from getting title insurance. But it's a really, really big expense. And there's now talk quietly that the CFPB might be looking into this and starting to come down on title insurance costs. And that's the next thing that might hit as something really big, obviously, in addition to the real estate agents. So keep a lookout for that. Hopefully, nothing you can really do. You just have to wait till it happens. But we just want to let you know that maybe, hopefully, possibility that this doesn't happen. Now, let's say you're paying cash. And I've had people who do this. All right, they're buying $1 million house. Usually the title company will say, hey, you got to buy an owner's policy for $1 million. And they say, no, I'll buy an owner's policy for $200,000, which is significantly cheaper. And that means you only have coverage up to $200,000. So somebody's long lost cousin comes and says they have this deed in it or whatever and owns 5% of the property. Well, 5% of $1 million is 50 grand. So the title company will pay them off. So that's a claim. So it saved the guy a lot of money. There's one buyer we had who didn't want to buy it at all. And it's like, okay, dude, but you can't, if you're getting a mortgage, you can buy the owner's policy up to the mortgage amount if you want. That's if you're paying for it. Seller's paying for it, it's kind of already done. But it's not costing you anything per se. But if you're a buyer, look at it. I'm not here giving you legal advice. Talk to an attorney, talk to an insurance agent. But that's kind of what's going on in the title business and kind of what you can do to save some money. But on the refis, hopefully your lender's involved in that pilot program with the attorneys. It's, I don't know, $500 or something. It's something small as opposed to what you got to pay for the actual insurance. So.
Now, I haven't bought title insurance in 14 years. I can't remember.
You don't need to buy it. You bought.
Well, you don't rebuy it, but give me an idea.
Time out.
$1 million house title insurance.
You bought the house 14 years ago. Okay. The seller, because you're in San Diego County, paid for that title insurance. And it paid. And what you're insuring is from the day you bought it on back in time. From now, from then to today, you can go and get a search done. You can go to the city hall or county records or wherever, search your property and see what's on it, what's against it. You're probably going to come up it might come up if you refinance the mortgage, you might have that old mortgage still on because they forgot to pay it off, which means you go to an attorney who knows this stuff and can get you a very large settlement, especially in Pennsylvania, for the mortgage company not clearing it off the title. So that's what's going to happen. You'll see if there's any liens from the city for if you didn't pay a $2 tax bill in 2014. I mean, you just never know. But if somebody's after you for money, you're going to know it. And the state can put liens on your property if you don't pay your income tax. So there are reasons to check it out, but you can't buy insurance unless you have a transaction to buy insurance for. I take that back. I'm sure that somebody might sell you insurance just because you want your title insured from this day on back in time. But I don't even know. But there's kind of no reason to do it. And everything's electronic.
How much does it cost?
It depends on how much you want to insure.
Well, say it's $1 million house. What would title insurance cost on $1 million house?
I don't know without looking it up, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And the other question, because I have questions, is does the age of the house affect the title insurance? Like if a house is 200 years old, it seems like
no. If you bought a new construction, if you bought a house that was a year old, let's say, compared to a house that was 30 years old, they still have to check the deeds all the way back in time. Doesn't matter. They're going all the way back in time.
Okay. I guess because the land was still there even before the house was built.
Exactly.
So the land's still years
And
old.
it could have been another house that was on there, and there was a violation on there, and it's of title, or who knows.
Okay.
But
That's interesting.
there you go. Nuances of the real estate world.
So we're still in a hot market here. Something that came up in the pre-show is something about appraisal contingencies. And even if you're the highest bidder, you could still blow the deal.
Yeah. Here's the thing. We had prospective clients we were talking to the other day who had a real estate agent that basically screwed them out of a deal. So they said they were the highest bid, but their agent said they should put an appraisal contingency into the contract. And they lost because somebody came in a little lower with no appraisal contingency. And here's what you do not know that nobody's ever told you. An appraiser gets a copy of the contract and knows the sale price before they do an appraisal of the property. And surprise, surprise, most of these deals turn out that the appraised value is the same as the sale price remarkably. Refinances, different story. You got, it's a made up number by a buyer. Hey, my house is worth 400 million. But the appraiser also knows the loan to value there. They kind of know what to do with. So you're saying to yourself, well, in a crazy market where stuff is going up $50,000 a week, how do they get the appraisal? Blah, blah, blah. Well, here's what they have. They have what's called a time adjustment. So they put in, because it's not a perfect system of numbers, which will drive all our tech friends crazy. There's not like, okay, take 3 comps, adjust them, and divide it by 3. It doesn't work that way. So it's a narrative. All these are narrative appraisals. And these things are like 58 pages long. 48 of the pages are all, standard crap, but they just add notes. And the lenders don't care as long as it appraises, as long as there's nothing wrong with the property. The other thing is, if you're putting a lot of money down, say 40, 50% down, who cares that it appraises for 20,000 less? Because the lender could care less, because they're still going to give you the loan. But if you have a situation, you're buying $1 million property and putting 10% down, and the appraisal comes in so that the loan to value between your loan and the appraised value is now 95%. Well, guess what? They'll still give you the loan, but they'll give you the loan based on the 95% rates, the 95% private mortgage insurance, as opposed to the 90%. So it might come in a little lower. Things just, kind of wheel around. But especially in California, people are putting, a good amount down, and they could put more down. So it's easy. It's other parts of the country where people are pretty tight. If it comes in, even $3,000 less, I mean, sometimes that affects deals, but the appraisers know it. And it just, I don't know what more to say.
Well, I can see what I can say is that it's dangerous to just say like, oh, you should just waive the appraisal. I think that it's really nuanced, right? And at the end, you made the mention that in California, right? So when you're writing an offer, okay, why do I need and why should I remove the appraisal contingency? And the fact is that if you're in a property which has been 3 days in the market and there's 20 offers, the people that really want the house that have been on the market for a long time, they know that it's going to appraise because every other house they bid on has been sold for more than what they bid, last weekend. So the comps will dictate that even though there's a whole bunch of formula, is that the houses in the area will sell for that higher value, right? So it's not, you shouldn't just waive the appraisal just because some people, like, sure, yeah, there's a lot of money in Silicon Valley, but that change in PMI, that change in the loan could make it so that people can't purchase, right? So it has to be really nuanced and to see that there is a risk, but that risk is something that buyers who are aggressive have to do in order to get properties, right? And being able to tell people the fact is that it's going to appraise based on the general fact that appraisals are not real appraisals, right? The problem is, and I think Fred said this in the back, is if appraisers did not have the purchase contract and they tried to appraise properties, the banking industry, I mean, the industry would crash because every single appraiser would have it wrong. I don't think anyone would get it wrong, right? And I think,
and the biggest thing is they're giving you a 30-year mortgage. So the value of the property is going to go up and down over the 30 years. But, so they're tied to this, hey, you're buying it today at this property at this value. And what they're worried about is you make no payments and they have to take over the house and they have to try to resell it. Yeah. That's the only reason they really care about the value today. That's it. The risk assessment.
I was going to ask about that because really the house is worth what a third party is willing to pay for it. And we're talking right now in the context of a housing market that's pretty rising. It's very competitive. What if we go back to like 2009, where housing prices are falling dramatically every month? The house has been on the market and that people are reselling it, but you put an offer in and that offer may still be far above market rates.
Time adjustments. You can do negative time adjustments. Same thing as positives. As a matter of fact, in a tougher market, the appraisers are going to be tougher because they don't want to be quality controlled and say, hey, this guy's making up numbers. Mm-hmm. They want to be more conservative. But now when it's rocking and rolling, it doesn't matter as much. So
yeah, I could see someone trying to sell a $500,000 house, but in 2009, that $500,000 house is $350,000. And somebody naive comes in and bids $495,000, they're automatically out $150,000 if the appraisal.
Yeah, but if you're the only bidder and we'll do this for you, if we're in some place that has got no bids, no nothing, we'll put in the appraisal contingency, no problem. Okay. Mortgage contingency, inspection contingency, we'll put in everything because the seller's got no choice. They want your deal.
Yeah.
So it's again, supply and demand, kids. I keep saying it. It's all about supply and demand as to what you do and how you make offers. So that's pretty much it.
It brings up the topic of washers and dryers. No segue there. René, what about washers and dryers? Why are people so attached to their stoves?
Well, I think people are people, right? But it's like when we're talking about the appraisal, right? We're talking about things that can unnecessary items in the contract that can that will destroy a deal and make you lose a house. So, separating an entire contingency. We have a deal under contract right now in which the sellers, where we write an offer and they like it, but the listing agent tells me like, hey, my sellers actually want to keep the washer and dryer. And now the washer and dryer is probably old. And actually our clients didn't even like the washer and dryer. But the fact is that now the buyers have to think about an extra $1,000, an extra $2,000 to purchase something new. And it's just a pain. And the sellers, they're going to have to pay a mover to carry the washer and dryer and the refrigerator into their new home. You have to check on whether the old washer and dryer fits in the new house. I mean, it's a headache. And what people don't realize is that all these big brick and mortar stores like Best Buy and Target, they will usually bundle up the washer, dryer, and fridge, where if you purchase an item, not only will they deliver the new one, but they will also get rid of your old appliances free of charge. So you're creating more costs for both parties, right? Where at the end of the day, like it probably would have been the same price, if not less, just get new appliances. And now, like technically, it is a counter item because now that the agreement changes, so our buyers could get cold feet and change their mind. Like, you know what? We don't want to go to this house anymore. We can find some other house that has a washer and dryer, and it's such a small thing. I mean, the odds of a washer and dryer killing a deal is really low, but these things do happen, right? And you want to get things under contract. So as a seller, I think selling agents should be able to discuss more the idea that before you go on the market, everything that's in the house should be up for grabs. Like don't just try to keep a plant in the backyard. If you want to get rid of it, if you want to keep it, it should be gone. It should be taken from the house before you put it on the market. I think that's the end of the story there.
No, that makes sense too. So if you've got something you're super passionate about, like you're you're a culinary, just that's what you do. And you have a La Cornue stove that you just paid 50 grand for and waited 3 years to get. You're probably going to want to take that with you. But the advice is take it with you, get it out of there, put another stove in there and sell the house whole and complete.
Here's something you guys might enjoy. In France, especially, but most of Europe, when they sell a house, people take their kitchen with them. And then people bring in their own new kitchen. Their appliances, even their cabinetry, because it's a thing over there. It's normal. Here, like, oh my God. So different countries, different real estate stuff.
Yeah, I can definitely can see the whole and complete for the buyer's mind, because the one house I bought, the last house I bought didn't come with a refrigerator.
Yeah, that's kind of typical. Fridges and washer dryers have always been like these things you take with you years ago. And I don't know. I don't know. This is one of those things.
In a way, options are good, right? Like in a way, like I want a new house and I want to pick and choose my new washer and dryer, right? Like I want to go to and pick a touch screen one now that they make, or maybe I want the freezer to be on the bottom versus on top. So there is that aspect to it. But at the end of the day, like if you're not going to offer something or you want to take it with you, don't have it in the house, because the people weren't looking deep into the disclosures in the beginning to know that it's not going to convey, right? So the buyers are at open houses, they see the house and they think they're getting it. And I think that's what's problematic. But at the same time, like a house should be ready to move in. I think that's what buyers want, right? Mm-hmm. Buyers don't want to have to to do things. So, when Drew bought his house, he would have, enjoyed the idea of it already being ready, where it's time to choose something. I guess we can't buy a fridge because we have a really good functional one.
We had a house we just sold where the fridge was on its last legs. And we just told everybody, this is going to be your beer fridge to put into the garage. And hopefully it'll live. So it's as is, and the buyer knew it and he was cool with it. So, case to case. But what René said is you go into an open house, you see this beautiful fridge and washer dryer, you think you're getting it. So,
yeah.
I read the MLS.
My 15-year-old beer fridge in my garage has outlasted two premium newer in my kitchen.
There you go. I mean, it sounds like your fridge was NASA approved or something.
I do wonder why that is though. Is it just because we open it less, or are they just garbage fridges?
The electronics, it's all electronic now. And we're talking about something that's cold and wet, and you're introducing electronics to it. There's got to be problems.
Oh yeah.
So the old ones just big ass motors and fans and just did their job.
Well, talking about cold and wet and our usual weather updates, as we go
cloudy today, a little windy and in the 60s in Los Angeles.
It was hot. It's 78 where I am, and for the third weekend in a row, rain.
I saw this weekend. And René, you're saying it's like in the 80s in the Bay Area.
Well, so I was in San Jose at the beginning of this call, and it was at 84. Now we're dropping to 70 degrees here in San Francisco. So,
microclimates hit again.
Yeah. Yep. I can start to see the fog right in front of me. So.
Yeah. And to anybody who's going to visit San Francisco, especially when you come in the summer, don't bring your bathing suit and t-shirts, sweatshirts. You have no idea. It's California, but it's not the California you think it is.
The Mark Twain quote, the coldest winter I ever felt was the summer in San Francisco.
Pretty much.
It was brutal. Yeah. I worked in the wine store right in the avenues, and all summer long, 54 degrees.
Yep.
If we had temperature control in our wine cellar, we said it's climate controlled.
Literally.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, because the warehouse there would be so many bottles in there. Even if we had like a 1 or 2 days of 80 degrees, the general temperature never got above 55.
Yeah, and then you go over the bridge and over to Danville, and it's 102.
Yeah,
same day. It's crazy.
But to tie back into real estate, it is important to figure out the microclimates, especially in the Bay Area where there is so many of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, every block is a microclimate in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. And I live
Anyway.
Yep. And I live down in El Granada, and that is the secret microclimate on the coast. It's the one that is sunny if it's foggy everywhere. It's right there.
Oh,
Just the way the harbor sticks out.
interesting. I know where that is, but I didn't know that about it.
Yeah, it's just north of Half Moon Bay, and if it can be foggy going down Moss Beach, foggy going into, it can be even foggy at the beach. But if you're right up in past the harbor, it'll be sunny and 80 degrees.
Crazy weather.
Easy weather.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on.
It's nuts.
Moving on. Basketball's over, and hockey is just about to start up there. What?
Yeah, the Frozen Four is this weekend. BU, BC, Michigan, and Denver in the Frozen Four for you hockey fans. College hockey fans who will watch it. And then the NHL playoffs start in about 8 or 10 days, something like that.
Coming up.
Not going to talk about the Flyers.
No,
So that's a whole different story.
Well, as we're wrapping down, any last words here, Fred?
Kids, it's still crazy out there. Yeah, rates went up a tick in the last couple of days because of inflation numbers. Both the CPI and the PPI went up a little more than expected. A lot of it had to do with energy costs and the cost of electric. I was watching a Bloomberg thing about this, that there's so much more demand for electricity and these companies can't produce places to make electricity fast enough. And that's why the price of electricity will keep going up. Blame a lot of it on AI because the AI chips just suck the life out of processors, and we're just trying to make them. That's another cost of home ownership that's going up. Insurance keeps going up. I'm sure they're going to raise taxes, so it's getting more expensive outside of the mortgage payment to own a house anywhere.
I just read
Florida
prices were doubling in California.
There you go. So, yeah, do your numbers, kids. Mortgage might be okay, but everything else might kill you.
Yeah, it's funny. AI, I can definitely see that with all the processing.
Yeah.
It's almost,
And you can't build enough solar. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, they haven't figured out how to take the sun and make it just an incredible power grid on a small scale. It just, the panels just aren't there. I don't know about the technology. I'm sure there's a podcast about that you can Google and find that in detail if you're into that nerd stuff. But I like to superficially be into that nerd stuff, but not. I don't know the details. But it's part of home ownership.
Mhm.
So
Yep. No, we got solar, and I thought I was buying 40% more than I needed, but at the last true up, we're actually using about 90% of our solar.
wow.
So I was a little surprised at that. I would have added a few more panels had I known. We thought we were getting a couple extra panels for the electric car, but now we're.
Can you still do it?
Yeah, I'm sure we can. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, and probably newer panels might be more efficient for you.
Yeah.
How do you store your electric? Do you have the Tesla thing?
I don't at the time. So we were back in the old rates. So we SDG&E buys it back. Now
Right.
the new version is they don't buy it back. They just take it at night. So at night when you're not producing solar, you're purchasing solar from them, but you're not
Got it.
using your credit that you spent during the day. So now it makes sense to have some battery backups. But right now, no.
Yeah. I've heard, and I don't know if this is the truth, kids, so I'll put that disclaimer out, that Panasonic makes battery storage that's better than Tesla's and cheaper than Tesla's. So do some Googling, search other podcasts on what's the best way to keep your electricity in your house. So
I could see
There you
that
go.
being a value add to someone, especially in the sunny area. If you had a full battery bank, some of those
there
things
you,
being off.
there you go. And if you're selling your house and you know it's a big ass 6-bedroom, 5-bath, high ceilings in an area that gets really hot and your electric bills are insane, you might think about purchasing a solar system before you sell the property because it can drop the the electric costs and it'd be more impressive for buyers to buy it.
Yeah.
It's a thought. Think about it before you sell.
Absolutely. How about you, Renee? What's the good news on the new house in San Jose and your departing thoughts?
Well, I think I'm seeing a good amount of new inventory popping up. So I do think that we're going to get into a nice May of interested sellers wanting to get rid of their homes and moving on to the next point in their life. So if you've been in the market for a while, I do see a bunch of inventory coming up. So
where?
In San Jose and Danville, there was a couple of weeks of no properties, and like one of our clients wanted it. Now there's 4. So there's always inventory. Like, sure, there's not the beautiful inventory like that checks the 10 out of 10 boxes, but come on, if you put Redfin on every location, there is a house, right? So I know there's a whole podcast that we can talk about inventory and no inventory and such, but there's properties everywhere. You just have to look. That's my take for this end of the week.
Yeah, can't wait to hear how the process goes in San Jose.
Yeah, we should be on the market next week all weekend.
Awesome.
We can't tell you the address, but can you tell us, Renee, just what it is and generically where it is?
I won't say. Really, really close to the Santana Row.
By the Chester House?
Actually, on the other side.
The other side, okay.
So,
cool. So you're right near the 280, easy on and off there. That's nice. And the road that goes past the airport, 880 or 680. I always get that confused. One of those two.
Something that has an 80 in it.
It's something that has an 80 in it. Yeah. It's a good location
then close to the 280, which takes you all through the coastal bay.
Yep.
Well, by the time this is out, it might be up on the site. Check out arrivva.com, the listing.
/properties.
We
list every property we've ever transacted, buyers and sellers on there, and the results of what it was listed for and how much it went for. So it's kind of a cool way of looking at it. And we wish we could get it all funneled down so you can search by city and all that. But if you do Control F and type in the city you're looking at, you'll see it all. So that just saved Drew 2 hours of work.
Yeah. Well, a power user tip by Fred Glick to end the show.
There you go.
Well, this has been another episode of We Fixed Real Estate. Have an energetic weekend, everyone.
Peace out.